Recently, I just hit my largest milestone to date of £100,000. However, I wish I knew these things in advance, which would have got me to that £100,000 milestone so much faster. And I'm going to be sharing all these tips with you in this video today. To paraphrase from Charlie Munger, he said the first 100K was a bitch, and he wasn't lying. And there are 10 reasons why this is the case. So let's get into the first reason, which is the initial capital accumulation. See, when starting from the bottom, building up that initial £100,000 looks like a massive hurdle. And that's because you're starting from the bottom, you have limited access to resources or a lack of experience that warrants a higher wage or salary. So it takes time to build in the initial stages. And this moves on nicely to my second point, which is the movement of your capital. At the beginning of your financial journey, increasing the momentum takes time, but we do this through compound interest. You want to start building that snowball as early as possible to help increase and maximize your gains. As soon as you start earlier, the ability to achieve that £100,000 becomes so much easier. Even if you're starting with smaller amounts of money, the earlier you start, the quicker you get to that £100,000. So it's absolutely vital you start early. Debt and expenses. Now, I completely understand that everybody has different financial obligations, whether it's rent, food, anything necessities makes absolute sense. However, I see too many people taking away from that ability to actually invest. Even if they decided to invest early, they could potentially build that snowball, but because they don't want to, due to increasing their spending on credit cards and acquiring bad debt, holds them back from actually becoming financially independent to the point of reaching that first 100K. Now, there's different types of debt, but it ultimately comes down to the opportunity cost. You need to understand that there's good debt and bad debt. But the difference between opportunity cost is whether or not you should invest or whether or not you should pay off your higher interest payment debt obligations. Now, I would personally say you want to be paying off your debt obligations first, so it won't eat into that investment. And then once you've got that debt obligation sorted, you can then feel free to invest. What happens then is if you just leave this high interest debt, it's going to become uncontrollable because the compound interest works on the debt obligation. So make sure that is paid off to ensure that you're in the best financial position to invest effectively. Now that moves nicely into my next section, which is where should people invest? Because there's so many different factors when it comes to choosing your investments based on your risk tolerance and understanding. And because of this lack of financial literacy, because you're not taught this in schools, understanding how to manage your money is so vital. So making that first 100K, whether it's through ETFs, stocks, crypto, however you want to invest, it's so important that you make sure that you can understand through financial literacy. So by following people like myself, I can help you achieve that financial literacy. And I have a video on how you can build your stock portfolio. The learning curve now. Acquiring financial literacy takes time ultimately. It takes effort as well to understand exactly how it works when it comes to managing your finances. So don't be surprised if it takes a longer time and effort to reach that 100K as you optimize slowly and increase your financial literacy levels. It will only help you improve and get to that 100K faster. Now we're starting at zero, so don't be surprised if it takes a longer time to optimize that knowledge to a point where you're fully understanding of what you're owning. So what you want to be doing is creating healthy habits which can increase the potential for your understanding. Whether it's buying an ETF every month and understanding, or looking at individual stocks and researching them through different methods, through YouTube, through following me, or other different platforms, there are a million ways that you can learn, and realizing that the effort you take in increasing your knowledge is going to speed up that process. Now, the next factor is risk aversion. Well, risk is involved in any single investment, so understanding what you own will help you determine that particular risk. Whether it's an ETF, a stock, or crypto, Each have different layers of risk, and you need to understand how risk favorable you are in taking those different investments. If you feel like you have a high tolerance, maybe crypto is the answer for you, or maybe individual stocks. Or if you want to be slightly more protected, maybe an ETF makes more sense to you. But it's all about understanding your risk tolerance. Now, with the risks, one thing I really think I should mention is just because you gain some level of competency when it comes to financial literacy, don't think you know it all, because this is one thing that hurt me. I thought I was this absolute genius when I put some money into a stock and I was like, it's 100% going up. And guess what? It didn't. And that's because I got too confident in what I thought I knew. And what you need to be doing is ensuring your processes are exactly the same. As soon as I deviated from my processes, I got burned. So make sure to learn from my mistake. Otherwise, you may be in the same position where your ego gets ahead of yourself and suddenly you lose some money. And I don't want that to happen to you. So make sure to keep your risk tolerance to a certain point and keep the processes exactly the same. The psychological barrier of the £100,000. Now, it looks so far away when you're starting from the bottom, so don't be discouraged. How you want to get over this is by setting mini milestones. Whether you've got a £10,000 milestone or a £50,000 milestone, achieving these mini milestones adds up, and then suddenly you realize you're closer to the £100,000 than you actually thought was possible. So don't be discouraged, because you can definitely do this by taking these other steps that can help achieve the snowball. Now, don't be fooled, this will take time, but increasing your different expertise will help you increase that momentum, as we spoke about. Increasing the momentum to increase your compound interest will ultimately drag you across the line in achieving that first £100,000. Low starting salaries now, because obviously at the start you are literally going to be on minimum wage or close enough to minimum wage. Whether you're starting out as an apprentice or you're coming straight into work from uni, typically, the average salary is only around £23,000 in the UK, so don't be discouraged if you are slightly under or over it, because it doesn't matter how much you own, it's how much you're able to commit to your investments every single month. Now, if you're able to put in £250 a month, that's going to be more than enough to get the ball rolling. But the biggest and most important thing is creating the habits and having the discipline to invest every single month without fail. As soon as you start creating these processes, it's going to only optimize and increase the efficiency in getting you to that £100,000. So don't be discouraged by the amount of money you're actually earning, because that will increase over time, and then you'll realize that everything else becomes exponential when it comes to reaching that first £100,000. Now, my last point is around building a foundation for your finances. It's going to be crucial that you develop these processes and careful financial planning to help you get to the point where your processes all make sense and you're building these habits that's going to enable you to get closer to the £100,000 milestone every single day. So don't be discouraged if it takes more time than you're expecting. It's all about the habits you have in place that's going to enable you to get to your foundation of the £100,000 milestone. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment letting me know your thoughts about all the different factors when it comes to how hard it is in making your first £100,000. It's obviously a huge milestone, so I'm here to help you guys achieve it. What you want to do is build that foundation, which is going to help you get the processes right. Personally, I found financial literacy as the biggest and most sticky point when it came to myself. If I had known this information much sooner, it would have helped me increase the processes and become more risk favorable when investing. I think I went in too shallow when I should have gone much more in depth and gone in hard earlier. It would have helped with the compound rate, and that would have enabled me to reach the £100,000 much sooner than I actually have, which is a shame. However, now I feel like I know everything. It becomes much more easier to optimize from £100,000 to £1 million next, hopefully. So I'm hoping that the time it took me to get from 100,000 to £100,000 is going to take me much quicker from £100,000 to £1 million. So stay tuned if you want to find out just how close I can get to that £1 million in the next few years. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.